Hey guys, it's Marquis here, back with another episode of Marquis Talks Black. I wanted to use this episode to address just two of the questions that were sent to me via the Gmail that I set up for that very purpose. Uh, One of the questions was, Marquis, what is with black people and homosexuality, or rather homophobia? Why is it that black people have a hard time accepting homosexuals, be it homosexuals of their own race or ethnicity, or homosexuals of other types of groups of people? Uh, the person sent me the Gmail. They're basically saying, given everything that black people have been through, shouldn't they be a little more understanding of another group's social struggle for equality and social struggle for acceptance? And I can totally see that. Now, um, I'm going to touch on that, as well as another user sent me a Gmail asking me to elaborate on what I meant when I said a subculture, and try to explain how sometimes things might be different from different places, even within the same country and even within the same state. But first, back to the homophobia question in regards to African Americans. Do I feel like a lot of black people are homophobic? Can't say. It's not something I've really touched upon with every black person I've met, but you do, obviously, as with anyone, if you're going to ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different answers. But to really hone in, I think, on the question that's being asked to me, there is an economic component to that, and I want to touch on that first, because that, I think, will give better understanding of why perhaps you may feel as though some black people aren't as understanding. And some people will say, what does money have to do with anything? Money and gay and black has nothing to do with each other. You can't have the money, you can't have the black, you can't have the gay. It don't. Right, but let me explain. All right, the basic gist of it is, I'm not a sociologist, obviously, but any culture, or rather any group of people who I find to be on the lower rung of society as far as income goes, or basically the poorer the group of people, generally the more religious they are. And you see this, with many different types of cultures, black, Hispanic, whatever. But we're talking about black people, just for right now, obviously. Um, a lot of black people are religious, so there's that religious component as well. The Bible is against homosexuality. I don't remember the exact passage, but do not lay with a man as you would with a woman. That is detestable, I think. Leviticus, I'm not sure. Honestly, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the exact line, verbatim from the Bible, is that you should not lay with a man as you would a woman. That's a sin in the Bible. Now, if you base that, around everything else, what that basically says is people who accept that religious lifestyle are going to have to accept that portion as well. And I do understand that people who are religious sometimes pick and choose. I'm not here to bash religion. I'm not here to push religion. But generally, what I find is that people who are poor generally tend to seek religion, in the sense of, I guess they're looking for hope or some sort of validation that they may not find in their own human existence. So a lot of black people are very churchy or very religious, and as a result of that, I think there's that aspect that keeps them from accepting homosexuals, because to them, as per the Bible, it's a sin, and they live by that word, or they try to, and they feel it makes them a better person. And based on, I guess, the word of the Bible, they feel homosexuality is bad, and that might make them a bad person. I don't want to put any words in my mouth, but just going from the word of the Bible is wrong. And I know there's so many other things in the Bible, but that's one of the things that people really hone in on, is that homosexuality is explicitly, you know, forbidden. Don't do it. Don't lay with a man. So that's that aspect. Like I said, a lot of black people are churchy because I feel like there's a correlation between people who are lower on the economic scale and religion. Um, on the other side of that is the tough guy aspect. And then, like I said, this is not a generalization, but it is with some black people that if you look at hip hop, hip hop, R&B, all these things are very important parts of some people's lives, especially the urban youth or the city black people or whatever. What I find is that that really doesn't mesh with homosexuality at all. It just doesn't mesh. That's why there really aren't too many homosexual black artists, or at least not openly so. There are rumors out there that some are gay, that some aren't. As far as the R&B stars goes, I've never really heard a gay rapper. I think there might be a few out there, but I've never really heard of a gay rapper. Because generally, when you think R&B, and this is not just one for one, it's not. But a lot of times with R&B, you're looking at sex. Sex is a big selling point. In R&B, you're talking about R. Kelly, Trey Songz. Jeez, is that a shame? Oh, anyway, R. Kelly, Trey Songz. Well, you can tell what kind of music I listen to or don't listen to, right? I'm more of a old school guy. I listen to 80s and a lot of early 90s stuff and some early thousands, but mostly 80s and 90s. But that's besides the point. Um, Getting back to it, a lot of R&B has to do with sex, and as I said, it's not seen as tough or masculine to be homosexual. A lot of people equate homosexuality with femininity, and I think that's because of the I don't know, is it a stereotype, or there's the whole gay cliche where a gay guy is very effeminate, very I can't even I can't even do it. I can't. I'm not good with the whole cliche gay thing, but there's that whole thing. I think that really ties into it, that people really can't associate these things with being masculine, dominant, powerful, or sexy. They're seen as feminine, weak, and that's why they really can't correlate those two things, especially in rap, where a lot of rap music now is heavily masculine. Everything is kind of laden in masculinity. It's like, I'm the toughest there is. I'm tougher than this guy. And that's really where I think it stems from. Obviously, those two things do not encompass all black people. I'm sure there are some black people out there who are okay with homosexuality. There's some homosexual black people, obviously. But I think that being that religion is generally a large part of African American culture, as well as hip hop being another huge mainstay, that probably answers the question to why a lot of them find it unacceptable. So you have these two large forces in African American culture, and neither of them is really accepting of homosexuals. So when you have those two things, that's kind of where it is. Also, obviously, there are going to be outliers. There are going to be people who just don't like it, and it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with rap. They just don't like it. And obviously, it's the same, I think, across any board, any color. You have people who are okay with lesbians, but not okay with gay men. It's seen as different somehow to them. But I feel as I'll probably answered that question. So moving on to the second topic, subcultures. The user sent me an email saying that he really didn't understand what I meant by subcultures. To elaborate, he said that in every state in the United States, they have their own laws, and those laws are the laws of those states. So there's no sub-law, there's no laws within the laws, no underground laws. Right. When I say subculture, these aren't things that are written. You're not going to go to you're not going to drive through a neighborhood, and before you get into the neighborhood, have like a placard to say, "Welcome to the hood. These are our rules." You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen. But generally, everywhere you go, there are unspoken rules or unspoken norms or things that are different. different types of subcultures that aren't hood. Chinatown. I won't say every city, but a lot of cities have a Chinatown. Philadelphia has a Chinatown. I believe San Francisco has a Chinatown. Miami has Little Havana. All these different areas where a lot of different ethnicities or groups of people group together. You're going to find that people are developing their own ways of life and their own rules, and that's really what I meant when I said subculture. Um, to kind of circle back, a lot of people remember the whole Michael Vick thing where he was killing dogs and everything else. Now, I'm not in defense of him. I thought it was terrible. I thought the whole thing was just pretty heinous. But I watched an interview with him, and he seemed genuine as to not understand. I won't say he didn't understand he was doing wrong, but to him, where he's from, that was normal. And people were, oh, where the hell are you from? Where you drown dogs and beat them, execute them, you punch them, right? Right, absolutely. I got it. I think that aspect is something different. What I'm saying is, wherever he's from, fighting dogs is normal. It's a part of their subculture. So to him, he didn't feel as though he was doing anything wrong. And I think that's probably a huge part of the motivation behind it. Now, obviously, he was doing more than fighting dogs. One thing he was just fighting dogs, but he was drowning them, electrocuting them, as far as I heard. Other things of that nature. That to me kind of shows probably a mental illness. I'm not a psychologist. I don't really know, but it just seems sick, to do those things. But generally, to circle back, what you're going to find is that a lot of times, any group of people will have their own little communities. You're going to have rules within the rules, and like for instance, and I'm not stereotyping, but if you get a lot of people from, say, Mexico, where they might do cockfights, do you really think that they're not going to do them up here? We may not hear about them as much, but every culture has its own rules, but behind the rules or underneath the rules, and the more groups of communities you have, it kind of distills down, and people start to have their own little ways of doing things, and that is what a subculture is. So thank you guys for joining me for this episode, subcultures and homophobia in the Black community. Again, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say to me, any topics you want me to touch upon in the future, please send me an email to the Gmail that I linked below. You'll see it flashing a few times. Probably gets pretty annoying. I have to put that there. So if I'm annoying you, you have to deal with it. Or just don't watch. But just please watch or deal with it. It doesn't, I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going with this. I'm starting to ramble. So I'm going to end this episode, guys, but thank you for joining me. Tell me if I've touched on any good points. Tell me if I've missed anything. All right, see ya.